On May the 28th, 2024, a day out at the Fly Emotion Park in the Lombardy region of northern Italy took a tragic turn. 41-year-old Ghizlane Moutahir embarked on a zipline attraction designed to take riders on a high-speed descent through the mountainous terrain. However, what was meant to be a fun activity she was looking forward to soon turned into a devastating incident that would leave her family and the whole of Italy in shock. Ghizlane was a 41-year-old woman of Moroccan origin who had been living in Italy. According to reports, she had gone to the Fly Emotion Park for a family day out, accompanied by her two nieces, who were also participating in the ziplining experience. The Fly Emotion Park is a popular adventure destination in Lombardy, offering zipline rides that allow participants to glide between the towns of Albaredo and Bema. The ride provides a view of the scenic valley below, whilst reaching speeds of up to 96 km per hour. It is marketed as a safe and controlled outdoor activity, attracting both locals and tourists alike. Ghizlane and her nieces have been harnessed onto the zipline system, preparing for what should have been a secure ride over the mountainous landscape. However, the experience turned catastrophic as she neared the end of the descent. As she approached the landing platform, onlookers noticed something was wrong. Witnesses stated that she appeared to be struggling with her harness before suddenly slipping free from the safety system. She fell approximately 20 meters or 65 feet into the forested area below. The horrifying moment was inadvertently recorded by her nieces, who were riding on a separate zipline at the time. Emergency responders were dispatched to the site, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. Her family, including her nieces, who had seen the fall unfold in front of their eyes, were left traumatized. Authorities launched an immediate investigation into the circumstances of the accident, which is still ongoing to this day. The focus is on whether the safety harness was properly secured, and whether there were any mechanical failures or human error involved. Prosecutors have questioned staff members and are reviewing safety procedures at the park. They are also analysing the video footage recorded by her nieces to determine the precise cause of the accident. Initial reports suggested that her harness may not have been properly fastened, leading to her fatal fall. However, officials have not yet confirmed if it was due to operator negligence, equipment failure, or a combination of factors. This tragedy has raised serious concerns about the safety standards at adventure parks and zipline attractions. Fly Emotion Park has temporarily suspended operations pending the outcome of the investigation. Local authorities have emphasised the need for rigorous safety inspections and enforcement of protocols to prevent future incidents. Ghizlane's family is demanding answers and justice for her death. Her relatives and friends have expressed grief and frustration, calling for stricter safety measures to ensure such tragedies do not happen again. I will keep you all updated on the outcome of this investigation, and may she rest in peace. On May the 18th, 2023, a routine workday at a construction site near the South Park Mall in Charlotte, North Carolina, took an unexpected turn when a fire broke out at the site. The fire quickly grew in intensity, forcing workers to make a desperate attempt to escape. As smoke billowed into the sky, emergency responders rushed to contain the situation. However, for some, the flames would prove impossible to outrun. Among the workers present that day was 30-year-old DeMonte Sherrill, a father of 4. Sherrill had been working on the construction site as part of the crew, unaware of the danger that would soon unfold. Another worker, 58-year-old Reuben Holmes, was also on the site when the fire erupted. Both men were engaged in their tasks when they found themselves in a desperate struggle for survival. The construction site was part of a large-scale development project aimed at expanding residential and commercial spaces in the South Park area. The multi-storey building was in the early stages, with exposed wooden frameworks and flammable materials scattered throughout the site. The fire began around 9 AM, reportedly igniting near a trailer used for insulation spraying. Due to the materials present in the open structure, the flames spread rapidly. Within 45 minutes, what started as a small fire had escalated into a 5-alarm emergency. Over 90 emergency units and more than 200 firefighters responded as the inferno engulfed the building, leaving those inside with few options for escape. In a desperate attempt to try and get someone to notice him and Reuben, he turned to Facebook Live, asking people to tell firefighters they were trapped inside.
Yo, I'm at South Park right now. At work, the building on fire, and I can't get out. It's getting harder and harder for them to see us. The building on fire, I'm trapped inside, me and my man. Ah! Help!
Through the video, he pleaded for help, his voice filled with fear as the fire closed in around him. Emergency crews worked tirelessly to rescue those inside. Some workers were pulled from the site, including one who was stranded on a crane. However, Cheryl and Holmes remained unaccounted for as the flames raged on. In the aftermath of the disaster, authorities launched an extensive investigation into the cause of the fire and the safety measures in place. Initial reports indicated that the fire was accidental, possibly originating from the insulation trailer. Investigators scrutinized the building's safety protocols and whether proper evacuation measures were in place. The North Carolina Department of Labor later issued fines to the construction companies involved, citing safety violations. Reports suggested that evacuation routes may not have been clearly designated, and the rapid spread of the fire left workers with limited means of escape, resulting in the deaths. Following the tragedy, families of the victims sought justice. Lawsuits were filed against the construction firms, alleging negligence and a failure to provide a safe working environment. As of January 2025, 3 companies have been fined for safety violations. They have agreed to the fines and the safety improvements that have been laid out. Meanwhile, wrongful death lawsuits filed by the victims' families are still ongoing. The defendant companies have argued that the victims were partially responsible for not evacuating sooner, which obviously has angered everyone. The final outcome will depend on investigations into safety protocols and company responsibilities. On July the 19th, 2023, a helicopter took off from its base tasked with an essential mission. Wildfires were raging across northern Alberta, and crews were working tirelessly to contain the flames. Among them was pilot Ryan Gould, and that morning he was behind the controls of a Bell 205A helicopter, supporting the ongoing firefighting efforts. Ryan Gould was a 41-year-old pilot from Whitecourt, Alberta. He was known for his generosity, kindness, and unwavering love for his family. His wife, Carlin, and their 2 young sons were the centre of his world. Friends and colleagues described him as a man with a giant heart and a sense of humour that could brighten any room. Beyond his personal life, he was passionate about aviation and had spent years flying in demanding conditions. His work had taken him across Canada, where he contributed to critical operations such as firefighting, resource transportation, and emergency response. On that day, Gould was operating near Hague Lake, approximately 140 kilometres northeast of Peace River. His role was crucial. He was transporting water to aid ground crews battling an out-of-control wildfire. The Bell 205A was built to withstand the demanding conditions of such missions, but at some point during the operation something went wrong. The helicopter crashed in a remote forested area, far from immediate assistance. Once they realised, emergency responders were dispatched quickly, but by the time they had arrived, it was obvious by the wreckage that Ryan, who was flying the plane, did not survive. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada launched an investigation but found no immediate cause, prompting a review of the mechanical, environmental, and operational factors. Ryan's death was the 3rd firefighting-related fatality in Canada within weeks, and although I was unable to find the exact cause, some of the responders that day blamed visibility. If that's the case, his final moments would have been terrifying. Imagine being in a helicopter when suddenly your visibility drops to none. With no visibility, he would have plummeted to the ground in seconds. The tragedy shook the firefighting and aviation communities. Tributes poured in, and a fundraiser was set up to support Carlin and their children, which raised over 200,000 Canadian dollars. This was vital for their family, as due to the job Ryan had, insurance in the case of death wouldn't have been possible. His wife Carlin called her husband a hero and said, "He's greatly missed. There's a very big hole and void left behind, and there will always be that void." In April of 2016, a routine fishing trip off the coast of Pembrokeshire, Wales, ended in heartbreaking tragedy. Gareth Willington, a father, and his newlywed son Daniel set out from Milford Haven aboard their fishing vessel, hoping for a peaceful day at sea. However, a series of unforeseen events would soon turn their outing into a nightmare. So, the two set off at around 2:45 in the afternoon. According to his friends, Gareth loved the sea. He had been a fisherman for years and bought the boat with his friend. For 8 years, he and his son worked together on the boat and the two loved it. That afternoon would have been like any other day, but 12 hours later, the vessel the two were on was seen smashed into rocks and broken apart. A resident whose house overlooked the bay noticed the distressed vessel and, growing concerned, contacted a local fisherman friend to check it out. The fisherman promptly set out towards the boat, but strangely, no one was on it. Gareth and Daniel never raised an alarm, and the pair were not carrying a location device, making the situation even more dire. The fisherman, along with several other witnesses, made urgent calls to the Coast Guard and police, initiating a large-scale search and rescue operation. The Coast Guard searched the area, and it didn't take them long to find Gareth. He was 3 miles away from where their boat was wrecked. Gareth was transported to hospital, but there, he was pronounced dead. The search for Daniel continued, but was unsuccessful, and his body was never recovered. A few days later, the investigators released the chilling likely scenario of what happened to the two men. Investigators believe that the likely scenario is that Daniel, who was working on deck, became entangled in the back rope, and Gareth went to assist, resulting in both men being pulled overboard through a large opening in the transom. This chilling possibility paints a tragic picture of a father and son desperately trying to help one another, only to be overtaken by the sea. Neither of them were wearing life jackets, which could have significantly increased their chances of survival. The coroner at the inquest into the deaths called on the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency to make the wearing of life jackets mandatory. This appeal came shortly after the Chief Inspector of the Marine Accidents also advocated for legislation requiring commercial fishermen to wear life jackets. Gareth's widow, Gail, supported this call, emphasising the need for stronger safety protocols to prevent similar tragedies in the future. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. These cases were all truly horrific, and may all the victims rest in peace. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.